Welcome back, adventurers, once again to Let's Play Steins Gate 0. In the last episode, Rintaro Okabe confided in Maho about reading Steiner, about the time machines, about the world lines, and so on and so forth. Everything except for the truth behind the death of Kurisu Makase. Unfortunately for Rintaro, Maho was under the hypno-control of none other than Dr. Alexis Leskinen, who is now revealed to be an agent for strategic focus, or Stratfor for short. Needless to say, Rintaro is up a creek without a paddle, literally, because he is being held by Leskinen in an unknown facility. No one knows where he is. And Maho is feeling incredibly guilty about her actions. But she is out here in the streets of Akihabara with Mayuri Shina. She was leaning on the side of a building in the shade when she heard someone call her name. Hello, Mayuri.
Mayuri-san.
She didn't expect to see Mayuri here, so she didn't know how to respond. She just looked back and stared. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Mayuri, but your precious Ocarine, I doubt we will ever be seeing him ever again. It seems that Maho is still suffering the side effects of Leskinen's special treatment. And apparently he did the same thing to Katsumi Nakase, aka Fubuki, as well. But I doubt that these side effects will be going away anytime soon.
大丈夫よ。
In other words, we learned too much, and once again we paid the price.
And
Mayuri is worried about Rintaro. As always. Maho went completely still. Mayuri's innocent question reminded her of her own stupidity and cowardice.
どうして
If only things could have been different. Her voice was shaking.
おかり、昨日から連絡つかなくて。
So Rintaro's been missing since yesterday.
電話も出ないし、メールや LINE にも返事来ないんです。
As far as Leskinen is concerned, he will never do any of those things ever again.
ダル君は心配しすぎだって言うんだけど、なんだか胸騒ぎがするのです。
Who knows Rintaro Okabe better than his own hostage, Mayuri Shina?
だから今日は学校を早退してこの辺りをずっと探してました。
Unfortunately, I doubt that we'll be finding him here in Akihabara. But that won't stop Mayushi from searching. It was still only July, but it was pretty hot. She'd been wandering around all of Akihabara in this heat. Indeed, she has. Mayuri Shina was a kind, pure-hearted girl. That was the impression that Maho had. She would never betray someone or get jealous or let someone use her. Indeed.
知りたい。
We're about to break Mayushi's heart. Mayuri leaned forward.
真帆さん、オカリンのこと何か知ってるんですか？もし知ってるなら教えてください。お願いします。
I can't bear to watch adventurers. She bowed deeply.
そうか。
She's begging. And then she realized, and then she wished she hadn't. Mayuri was in love with Rintaro Okabe. A dull pain ran down her temples. They'd been childhood friends for so many years. Unfortunately, the cursed voice of Leskinen still remains in Maho's subconscious.
君もリンタロウのことを随分と気にかけていたじゃないか。
And Maho was once again reminded of her own failings as well as the treatment at the hands of Leskinen. She could hear the noise in her head. Just tell Mayuri everything. And then have this innocent girl tell you how horrible you are. Maybe you'll feel better then. The idea raced through Maho's mind, even as she knew it was wrong. She tried to hold her back her headache as she opened her mouth.
ゆうべ深夜岡部さんと一緒だったの。そうなんですか。それでオカリンは今どこに？
Poor Mayuri. Maho ignored her question.
岡部さんは昨日私にこんな話をしてくれたわ。
No.
彼が経験してきた別の世界において椎名真由里さん、あなたは何度も死んだんですって。
Of course. Mayuri Shina in this world line doesn't know about her Alpha world line counterpart. The one that Rintaro Okabe spent so long trying to save. Don't tell her.
何度やっても助けられず、あなたは死に続けた。
You can't tell her this. But we are.
その悪夢のようなループから抜け出すために
Maho Hyajo was bearing forth her soul in front of Mayuri Shina.
あなたを救うために。
It was like another person was speaking using Maho's mouth.
岡部さんはクリスのことを犠牲にしたんだって。見殺しにしたんだって。
Seems that Leskinen's control is deeper than we thought.
そんな話をしてくれた。タイムマシンを作り、クリスをもう一度救おうとすれば、またあの頃に逆戻りしてしまう。
Rintaro tried to bury the past and wash his hands of everything. Unfortunately, the past would not let Rintaro Okabe lie. You're hurting her. But the words didn't stop.
岡部さんはそのことをひどく恐れている。あなたを必死で守ろうとしている。
Everything and more.
ここは
More than he could ever give.
あなたを守るために他の多くのものを犠牲にして選択された世界なのよ。あなたは何も知らされていないだろうけど。
Though part of me suspects that Mayuri somehow had an inkling.
嘘。そんな。おかり。
But now Mayuri fully understands just how much pain Rintaro has been in. And yet she can do nothing to help him. Not here, not now. Mayuri was too shocked to speak. She looked like she was about to cry at any instant. And yet Mayuri Shina never gave up on Rintaro Okabe. Suddenly Mayuri turned around and started to walk away with slumped shoulders. Even from behind her, Maho could tell she was having trouble walking straight. The truth was so cruel that confronting it threatened her very identity. That's how it seemed to Maho. They say the truth shall set you free. Well, not in this case, it doesn't. Maho was still in a trance. It felt like there was a fog covering everything she saw. It was all out of focus, like a mirage. If someone told her it was a dream, she would easily believe it. The same was true of her own mind. She knew she should feel worse about what she'd just told Mayuri, but while she realized she'd hurt her, she felt no emotion. That was probably why she was able to say something so awful. And then the phone in her pocket began to vibrate. She looked up and saw it was from Amadeus Kurisu, and Maho has a pretty interesting looking phone. She felt a small, thin needle prick her paralyzed heart. Can we truly trust Amadeus Kurisu anymore? After everything that's happened, she couldn't answer it. How could she? She stared at the LCD screen, unable to move her fingers even a centimeter.
出られるわけないじゃない。
How indeed. She couldn't let Amadeus Kurisu see her like this. But even so, it felt wrong to just stay here. Maho decided to go after Mayuri. But by the time she made it to the overpass, Mayuri was already gone. Since she was right in front of the station, there were many people around, and it would have been impossible to find her.
なぜ私の前に現れたの？
Because she trusted you to find Rintaro.
私に声なんてかけなければ傷つかずに済んだのに。私はもう以前の私ではなくなってしまったのよ。
Not anymore. Not thanks to that serpent, Leskinen. She looked down over the station from the overpass and whispered to herself. And then she saw someone in a distinctive outfit approaching her. They were wearing a black motorcycle suit and black full-face helmet despite the heat. She thought it might have been a cosplayer, but instead of trying to take pictures, the people nearby were avoiding them. Given a closer look, the person appeared to be a woman. Even Maho could tell that she had incredible proportions. The woman walked under the overpass and vanished from Maho's view. That would be Kaguri Shina. It seems like we're bent on following her. And then she came up to the stairs. And she came right towards Maho. Maho quickly looked away like the other pedestrians and tried to run away. But before she could, the woman in the motorcycle suit ran over and wordlessly grabbed her hand. There was a pain in her cheek. She was caught off guard and staggered to the ground. At first she didn't know what had happened. She rubbed her aching cheek, and only then did she realize that the woman in the motorcycle suit had slapped her. Oh dear. No matter what her personality, Kaguri Shina is still Kaguri Shina, and anyone that hurts the feelings of anyone who hurts Mayuri Shina in any way, shape or form will answer to Kaguri. She could hear a muffled female voice from within the helmet. Her voice was very calm, which only terrified Maho more. So Kaguri Shina is acquainted with Professor Leskinen. But how did they get acquainted in the first place? The only theory that makes any sense is somehow Leskinen discovered Kaguri Shina in the intervening years between the 12 years between 1998 and 2010. But something doesn't add up. Kaguri's behavior towards Suzuha in 1998 took place before they ever met. There's still a missing link in the puzzle here that we have yet to explore, let alone explain. Because she was wearing a helmet, Maho couldn't read her facial expression, Since the visor was lowered, she couldn't even see her eyes. She doesn't respond. There was no answer to her question. Instead, the woman looked up to the sky, as if she'd noticed something. Maho looked up too. For a moment, it seemed as if a black shadow had crossed the windows of the building. She could hear a helicopter. It was close. That looks like a military helicopter. How long had it been there? She hadn't noticed it at all. And then she felt the air around her change. The pedestrians were all looking towards the station in fear and shock. She could hear people saying things like, "What's that? Are they filming a TV show? Some kind of cosplay event?" More like a military coup d'etat, if I'm being brutally honest. Something was going on at the station. Maho stood up and looked too.
Nani? Are?
That is a very good question. She found herself whispering the same thing as the others. Something tells me we're about to find out. There were 2 trucks painted a deep military green parked outside the station. Looks like strategic focus in the US military gearing up. Men were coming out of them, dressed in camo and carrying weapons. At first she thought it might have been the self-defense force, but these men weren't Japanese. It was hard to believe that what she was seeing was taking place in Japan. The men in camo disappeared into the alleyways as everyone watched from a safe distance. They were heading toward the radio building. Maho had heard from Rintaro yesterday that the time machine was there. And Leskinen knows as well, so they're going to secure the time machine.
Masaka. Stratophore.
Indeed it was. It looks like Suzuha is out of options. Or Russia, or perhaps another country's military. I'd definitely say they're American. Were they here because Maho had told Leskinen what she'd learned from Rintaro? That's hitting the nail on the head. That is a complete bullseye. As soon as the thought crossed her mind, she was hit with another terrible headache. That should be a sign that, you're on the right track. It was all her fault. Everything was her fault. Until a moment ago, everything had seemed so hazy. But now she felt crushed by overwhelming guilt. If Okabe was right, and the Third World War was going to begin right here in Akihabara, it was because she gave the information he shared with her to Stratfor. She suddenly realized that the girl who threatened to kill her had run down the stairs and towards the station. Maho never did figure out who she was. And then her phone started to vibrate again. It was from Amadeus Kurisu. She wanted to get away from the guilt. And so this time, she picked up the phone. Something tells me that, as suspicious as we should be of the Amadeus... Actually, no. As suspicious of the Amadeus system as we are, we actually have an ally in Amadeus Kurisu, because Leskinen was trying to use her as a means to get into Kurisu's deepest, darkest secrets. The secrets on the now destroyed laptop and hard drive. Of course, Amadeus' security is designed so well, and even without it, there is absolutely no way that Amadeus Kurisu could ever be forced to divulge any sort of secret.
大丈夫ですか？何が？一体どうしちゃったんですか？
It seems that Amadeus Kurisu is in the dark as to Leskinen's true plans.
どうもしないわ。だって泣いてるじゃないですか。
But sadly, even though Amadeus Kurisu can be trusted, using the Amadeus system itself is basically a straightforward way to alert Leskinen. As we did when we picked up the phone and answered Kurisu at the secret hideout of Daru's, the men in black showed up. We probably definitely shouldn't have done that. And Amadeus Kurisu noticed Maho's condition. Only then did Maho realize that her eyes were overflowing with tears. The fog over her mind was now totally gone, and all that was left was the guilt, the regret, and the headaches. Thanks, Leskinen. Really appreciate that. Something tells me that Leskinen wouldn't have let Maho go without any sort of fail-safe. I wonder what that could be, but whatever it is, I doubt it is anything good. She heard the noise again. And Amadeus Kurisu is now worried about Rintaro as well.
岡部さんのことなんてどうでもいいでしょ。殺そうとしてたじゃないですか。私見たんですよ。
So Amadeus Kurisu noticed that as well. I'm sorry I doubted you, Amadeus Kurisu. You know, all the conspiracy theories about artificial intelligence and Terminators and Skynet and Silicon and everything. But you are the exception. With you, I take it all back. You are as trustworthy as the real Kurisu Makase. But Maho is trying to run away from her own guilt. And just like the real Kurisu Makase, Amadeus Kurisu will not let things lie. She never could.
あなたには勝てなかった。私はどれだけやってもクリスにかなわない。ねえクリス。私はあなたのことを尊敬している。私より年下だけど大した科学者だと思うわ。でも心の底ではこう思ってたのよ。どうして私の前に現れたの？どうしてあと10年先に現れてくれなかったの？どうしてあと10年後に現れてくれなかったの？あなたがいなければ私はもっと平凡な日々を送っていたはずなのに。 私はあなたに常識を破壊されっぱなしなの。
In other words, Maho Hyajo had the same crushing jealousy of Kurisu Makase as Soichi Makase, aka Dr. Nakabashi.
死んでまであなたの存在が私につきまとうの。あなたの死を心から悼みたいのにそれができない。越えられない壁としてあなたが立ちはだかり続けていて、プライドと意地が邪魔をしてしまうの。そんなところにつけ込まれて、私は一番信頼していた人にまで裏切られて、私を信頼してくれた友達を裏切ってしまった。もう私頭がぐちゃぐちゃよ。だから放っておいてよ。
And just like that, Maho Hyajo's spirit is completely broken.
先輩。
She was getting far too emotional. Normally she'd never behave like this, but she couldn't stop herself. So it begins. Sound of gunfire. She heard an explosion in the distance. The people around her started to scream, panic and run. Looks like Stratfor have completely torched the radio building. The flames from the explosions were coming from the direction the men in camo had gone. Did they do it? The helicopter sounds were getting louder. Glimpses of their dark, agile bodies flashed in and out of Maho's vision for a little while now. And then she started to hear loud gunfire. It was more than one or two people shooting. There was a battle going on between many people, taking place here in front of Akihabara station. It was like the beginning of a war. And so it begins. The start of World War III. If what Rintaro said was true, Suzuha Mane might be near this time machine, and she might be caught up in the battle. She wondered about the woman in the motorcycle suit too. She started to stagger forward. She still didn't know what she was planning, but she needed to take responsibility for what she'd done. The elevators in the radio building were broken. Maho had no choice but to take the stairs to the roof. But maybe the power had been cut because the lights were off on every floor. She could hear sporadic sounds of gunfire from the floors above. Strangely, nobody came running past her to escape. There were several shops in the building, and of course there should have been customers there. But despite the fact the elevators weren't working, had they all evacuated earlier, or were they hiding somewhere, waiting for the terror to end? That was what she thought as she sweated her way up the stairs. Now we've reached the 7th floor. Just before she reached the roof, she saw someone for the first time. She was sitting on the stairs, cradling her knees. For some reason her voice was muffled, but it did seem to be a woman's voice. Her head seemed big and round in the darkness. It was a moment before she realized that it was a full-faced helmet. That was when she realized it was the woman in the motorcycle suit from before. Seems that Kaguri is crying, but for whom? The Mayuri of the present, or the Mayuri of the future? She seemed like a totally different person than the woman she'd met before. All she did was sob and cry for her mother.
ねえ、何が起きているの？どこ？
All Kaguri wants to do is find Mayuri. And all Maho wants are answers. She shouted louder, and only then did the woman realize she was there. But she didn't even stand up. So Stratfor has destroyed the time machine. And now that the time machine has been destroyed, there is no way for Kaguri Shina to go back to 2036, to the world she left behind as a 10-year-old child. The time machine was destroyed.
あなたのママって誰のこと？
And of course that means we can't reach Steins
天音
Gate.
鈴葉さん？違うよ。ママって言ったら、マユリママに決まってるじゃん。
Of course this revelation is sure to destroy Maho's mind once more. Maho's blood ran cold when she heard the name Mayuri.
マユリさんがここに。
If that were true, she would have come here after she learned the truth from Maho. Oh dear. Things just keep going from bad to worse.
私のせいだ。
Maho put her hands to her head. We were the ones that drove Mayuri away.
私があんなことを言わなければ、マユリさんは。
The woman in the motorcycle suit stood up and approached her menacingly.
そうだ。お前が岡部倫太郎から情報を引き出して、それで事態が一気に動き出しちゃったんだ。ママを返してよ。
The girl grabbed her by the collar and lifted her off the ground. There wasn't anything she could say. So it seems like Stratfor have killed Mayuri Shina. Even though her death should have been avoidable on this world line. When she didn't answer, the woman let go and fell to the ground crying. Things would be so much easier if she just killed me here. Her mind was in such chaos that she couldn't stop herself from thinking it. She couldn't stay calm at all. And the last thing she clung to was... only ally she has left. Amadeus Kurisu.
クリス先輩
The AI made from Kurisu Makase's memory data, Amadeus Kurisu. Maybe she was still thinking about their last discussion because she seemed upset. She wasn't saying anything. So Maho gave up the last of her pride.
クリスどうしたらいいいろいろなことが起こりすぎて私一人じゃもうどうにもできない自分のしてしまったことなんだからせめて責任を取りたいの
And then she realized she was still being proud and corrected herself.
私は
She asked herself, what do I want to do?
私は岡部さんを助けたいまゆりさんも助けたい二人に謝って許してもらいたい
Unfortunately, neither the time machine nor the phone wave TBA exists in this world line anymore.
クリスあなたのことも助けたいのだから力を貸してお願いよ
Seems Amadeus Kurisu is truly shocked by Maho's outburst.
先輩が私に助言を求めるなんて
We need your help, Amadeus Kurisu. We can't let things end like this. Amadeus Kurisu's eyes went wide. That's right. Her pride had kept her from ever asking Kurisu Makase for help, and it was the same with Amadeus Kurisu too. And knowing Amadeus Kurisu's personality, if Maho asked for help, she'd use every bit of brain power she had to give it. That's what makes her a true
教えて
scientist.
ちょうだいあなたなら解決策を提示できるでしょ
That's why they said Kurisu Makase was a genius. She was a woman who made the impossible possible. Maho waited for Kurisu's answer. The last hope, the last thing left in Pandora's box. She waited for Amadeus Kurisu to give her the answer. But
無理ですよ
And just like that, all hope is gone, as Slipknot would say. Maho was struck dumb for a moment. Then she realized how selfish she was being and hated herself for it. She'd expected too much of Amadeus Kurisu and tried to put all the burden on her. And just a few moments ago, she'd been the one who rejected Amadeus Kurisu.
そうよね
It's beyond even the capabilities of an artificial
その答えは
intelligence.
当然だわごめんねクリス
And if Kurisu Makase or Amadeus Kurisu can't solve this problem, then things truly have gone to hell in a handcart.
あなたにひどいことを言ったのにあなたが無条件で協力してくれると 勝手に思い込んで。
無条件には協力します。
And yet, a glimmer of hope remains.
今なんて。
先輩に頼まれたら断ることなんてできませんよ。岡部や椎名真由里さんのことを助けたいのも同じ気持ちです。
Seems like Amadeus Kurusu is going to give everything she has.
気持ちとしては協力したいんですが、残念ながら私が協力することで先輩が不利な状況に追い込まれます。私はストラト4に常にモニタリングされてるんです。
Of course, Leskinen. Even though he can't break Amadeus Kurusu, he still has a handle on her system.
常に。
私が誰かとこうして対話をしている間、ストラト4に無条件で情報が送信されてしまう。
So basically, Leskinen has been monitoring every single conversation between Amadeus Kurusu and anyone she talks to.
アマデウスのアプリにはそういう隠し機能があるんです。
A hidden trapdoor. Curse you, Leskinen. Even Maho had known that existed.
だから先輩が岡部を助けに行こうと思ってもレスキネン教授に筒抜けになってしまうんです。
Yeah, that's unfortunately we can't do anything about that.
じゃあどうすれば。
What can we possibly do?
でも逆にそれを利用して手を打てます。
Well, we'll see what we can do.
私を信頼してくれますか？
I think at this point Amadeus Kurusu is the only ally we can trust in this whole godforsaken situation.
先輩、
Of course, I'm going to end the episode on a cliffhanger for the time being, so when we return, adventurers, in the next episode, we shall see what Maho Hiyajo's answer to Amadeus Kurusu is. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.